Hello faculty, students, and staff. My name is Diana Glover, and my Capstone 3 presentation is on factors associated with special needs adoptions. Adoption is a bridge that connects families not by biology, but through love. Clockout describes adoption as an everlasting tie that binds adoptive parents to their adoptive child. As I first began to conduct my research on this topic, I wondered why so many special needs children were left to be cared for by our government. One of the biggest questions on my mind was whether or not the government was doing enough to not only find these children homes, but to assist their new families both financially and emotionally once the adoption took place. The United States has an astounding number of children being cared for by the government who are in need of an adoptive home. In 2009, according to the United States Department of Health and Human Services, there were 115,000 children within the country anxiously waiting to be adopted. 89% of those children have special needs. What defines a special needs child? Glidden defines special needs children as children with developmental disabilities impairing their cognitive, physical, and sensory functions. Others further define special needs children as children who are physically and/or emotionally abused, older children, adolescents, teens, and children of different ethnic backgrounds. To raise a special needs child requires an enormous amount of endurance, patience, and support. Is the government providing enough support to individuals who are adopting special needs children? If not, is their lack of support detrimental to the success of special needs adoptions? Laws have been passed to make it easier to adopt special needs children. However, many challenges from the pre-adoption to post-adoption phase still remain. Challenges often take an emotional toll on adoptive parents, which results to many adoptive parents returning their adoptive children to the state. Financial ramifications. In 1997, the government made an attempt to decrease the financial hurdles associated with special needs adoption in the government system by passing the Adoption and Safe Families Act. The Adoption and Safe Families Act was the government's response to a crisis within the United States that included the influx of special needs children in the welfare system who are without permanent adoptive homes. As part of the Adoptions and Safe Families Act, states agreed to work harder to increase the number of special needs children being adopted. In turn, every year, if the number of special needs children adopted increased, states received federal grants. The financial incentives from the government led many states to continually increase special needs adoption rates each year. However, monetary incentives ceased for the states that had a decrease in the number of special needs adoptions. The Adoptions and Safe Families Act required that special needs adoptions be expedited. The Adoptions and Safe Families Act also required that states lessen the amount of time special needs children spent in foster care. The act was a success. Adoptions of special needs children increased from 31,004 in 1997 to 48,680 in the year 2000. The Adoption and Safe Families Act sparked other incentive programs and federal laws. The Act currently accounts for 68% of adoptions each year. More financial ramifications. Adoptive parents of special needs children are given some financial assistance from the state. From 2000 to 2006, adoptive families received monthly subsidies averaging $571.95. Between 2009 and 2010, states received almost $98 million of funding from the federal government to assist with the increase of special needs adoptions. Buckles believed adoptions would soar to 100% if only the federal government's increased subsidies. Buckles interviewed many adoptive parents who said that financial hurdles still weighed heavily on their shoulders despite assistance from the government. Financial pains. Adoptive parents worry about the cost of medical bills, including specialty care, therapy services, and respite care. The United States government has made an effort to assist with some of the financial costs associated with raising a special needs child by giving tax credits. The tax liability credit is given to parents of children who cannot independently care for themselves or who are under the age of 18. Unfortunately, the tax credit is not enough for most adoptive parents, as adoptive parents must deal with a variety of medical costs. Medical costs include out-of-pocket payments such as prescription medications, special equipment, specialty foods, therapy, and co-payments for hospital visits. The burden of finances weighs heavy on many adoptive parents of special needs children, especially those who come from the middle class. Financial costs are made aware to potential adoptive parents during the pre-adoption phase, and adoptive parents should know that different states have different requirements for eligibility of financial assistance. States in a financial crisis offer less than states that are financially stable. Adoptive parents of special needs children often need more income. They especially need more income if they are forced to take a leave of absence from work or quit to take care of their child. Someone might ask why someone would choose to adopt a child if they are not financially capable to provide adequate care to their special needs child and the rest of their family. So, why adopt a special needs child? Many children are adopted by relatives or caregivers. Step-parent adoptions are also the most common type of adoption when it comes to adopting a special needs child. If the adoptee is being adopted by a relative or caregiver, financial costs may not significantly matter at the time of the decision. Step-parent adoptions occur when the biological parent can no longer care for their child and the step-parent wishes to step in and take the responsibility. Step-parent adoptions can occur without much warning or time to financially prepare. The step-parent may be going through a divorce, which can also account for the financial struggle, or may suddenly need to take time off from work to deal with the process of the adoption. Former foster parents also adopt special needs children. According to Kramer and Houston, relatives and former foster parents tackle the financial responsibilities accompanied with adopting a special needs child because they care for the child and do not want them to stay in the system. According to Kramer and Houston, many African American adults say that they would adopt a special needs child if they were to receive added financial assistance from the government due to their incomes being too low to add another addition to their family. Many payment services are available but unknown to adoptive parents. For instance, the government also provides assistance for coverage on organizations such as the YMCA and other recreational and social functions. Adoptive parents and caregivers should contact their state to find out what financial assistance and programs are available for their special needs child and their families. Adoptive parents of special needs children face issues not only financially but educationally as well. Oftentimes, special needs children require extra support so that they may adjust and adapt to their new school environment. Special education is needed for children who are not learning up to par with the majority of the children their age. Dealing with the educational system can be a hurdle to parents, especially if they have never had a child in the educational system before. Many times, parents and caregivers are left feeling overwhelmed and lost by the educational process. Advocacy. Advocates are available and offer expertise on educational rights. Parents and caregivers should seek obtaining advocates for their child. Advocates have knowledgeable information about the educational rights of children and can offer support to both the parent and the child with little or no cost to the parent. Parents can get the information that they need on how to find an advocate in their community by speaking with someone from their adoption agency or by contacting the government. Inclusion. Inclusion is the integration of special needs children into a general educational classroom. Inclusion also refers to intertwining educational staff and general educational students with special needs children. The Education of the Handicapped Children Act. The Education of the Handicapped Children's Act of 1975 allowed special needs children to be in a public school setting that was safe and is now known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The Education of the Handicapped Act became what is now known as the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which originated in 1990 and was then revised in 1997. The outcome of the Act was the birth of the Individual Education Plan, otherwise known as the IEP. The Individual Education Plan, IEP, is the most important foundation for curriculum. The IEP is a set of goals for a child. It is a document with educational goals and modifications made for a specific child. It is a legal document. The Education of the Handicapped Act caused a frenzy among teachers and educators and administrators because they were now required by law to successfully care for and educate children with special needs in their schools. Teachers understandably felt overwhelmed by the sudden integration of special needs children into their classrooms and unfortunately had no idea where to start with teaching them. Fast forward to present day, teachers now automatically provide instructions that include teaching plans for special needs children. Today, special needs children can now be in a mainstream classroom and not tied down to special education classes. The ability to be in a mainstream class gives certain special needs children the opportunity to excel in an environment that is not restrictive. As said before, the Individual Education Plan is the most important foundation to further the involvement in general education curriculum for special needs children. It is a specific plan for the child with the purpose of successfully and positively integrating them into school so that they can learn at a level that best suits them. As a result of the IEP, special needs children can now be placed in certain schools or classes and cannot be taken out without the agreement of parents and staff. Emotional toll and dissolution of adoptions. Adoptions benefit families who want to extend their love and nurturance. Many adopted parents decide to adopt a child who has special needs because they want to give that child family stability. Adoptive parents of special needs children are also aware that many of the adoptees are unwanted by other adoptive parents. Kramer and Houston discuss the ideal fantasy some parents have when adopting. The ideal fantasy for adopting for some parents is becoming a nuclear, picture-perfect family. They want to heal their own emotionally fractured life. Reasons also include reigniting the spark in a marriage, infertility, and expansion of their family, or having a sibling for their child. The realities of adoption is that many special needs children have intense psychological issues such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and attachment separation issues. Dissolutions occur when adoptive parents return the adoptee to the state after adoption has already been legalized. Dissolutions occur between 10 to 16% of special needs adoptions. Dissolutions occur between only 11 to 13% with a typical healthy child. When potential adoptive parents decide to adopt a special needs child based on their own personal ideal fantasy, they neglect to see the realities of adopting. Still, despite the numbers of dissolutions, the percentage of special needs children who stay with their adoptive families remains high, and adoptive parents are happy and satisfied. Causes of dissolutions. Causes of dissolutions include a child's maladaptive behaviors such as aggression or verbal hostility, medical, mental, and physical health problems, and a lack of communication post-adoption between adoptive parents and agencies. Many adoptive parents feel that there is a breakdown in the connection and that agencies no longer provide help for them when they have questions that need to be answered. It has never been easy to find placements for children with special needs. Special needs children have a host of impairments that affect them mentally, physically, or both. Special needs children in the welfare system did not ask to have their disabilities. They deserve love and a permanent home with a loving family, as much as anyone else. Fortunately, dissolutions are low, and many adoptive children with special needs that are adopted continue to stay in their homes and live happily. The United States government has done a tremendous amount for special needs adoptees and their adoptive parents. The government has significantly decreased the amount of special needs children in the welfare system and has provided monetary support for both the child and their families. The government gives stipends to adoptive parents and provides financial assistance for most services. When the government can no longer assist, they supply parents with information on further resources that might be needed in the future. Feelings of friction and frustration are the result of having improper communication. To feel this special